right. Hello, everyone. We are very excited, Sarah. Today we're here with Dr. Madeleine Goodman. Welcome to our podcast.
Very much.
Dr. Madeleine Goodman is an orthodontist out of Maryland. Just here to chat with her, kind of get her background. And we're excited with something we want to talk about that you're doing called Tiny Changes. But before we get to that, please tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into dentistry, specifically in the ortho field? How did it start?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. I'm originally from Bethesda, Maryland. My dad was an endodontist, so I kind of grew up around the dental field. I worked in his since I was in the 8th grade, and I saw how much he was so happy going to work every day. He would always tell me it's like a great career, that you have a work-life balance. He worked 4 days a week, and so I always kind of had it in the back of my mind, and I really liked science and medicine, but I don't like blood and gut. So it really seemed like a good fit. So after college, yeah, yes, exactly.
That was my next question.
Right. So the least bloody, exactly. So when I went to dental school, I literally just like crossed off the list every other specialty.
Oral surgery.
No. Yeah, like immediate no. And then finally arrived at ortho, and I was like, I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't really like ortho when we did it in dental school. I was like, just bending wires. It's like, I was really bad at it. I just didn't like it. So I applied and ended up matching at Tufts. And I was like, well, I'm going to go and hopefully I like the specialty. And the rest is history. But I ended up going to Tufts for residency and ended up marrying one of my co-residents. So my husband's an orthodontist too. And we decided to move back to the DC area.
Is he from here as well?
He's from Wisconsin, actually, and he's actually a 3rd-generation orthodontist.
Wow.
So his maternal grandfather was an orthodontist, and he was actually president of the Angle Society in 1950.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Which I think is very cool.
Yeah.
And he has all these, like, first edition Angle books that, like, when I go to my husband's house, I'll, like, page through, and he's like, you're a huge nerd. But anyway, and then my husband's dad took over it was like his father-in-law's practice. So he took that over and he worked there for like 36 years and of course wanted my husband to come back and take it over. But we decided that we would, we wanted to be kind of in more like metropolitan area. Such a cold area.
Yeah.
So we ended up coming here and they actually ended up selling that practice to a really wonderful man who's done an amazing job building that up. So we don't need to feel too guilty. But
good for you for sticking with it.
Yes.
Just sticking with the
So we moved back here and he ended up at a practice. It's a pedo ortho general practice that had been around a long time, and the 2 owners of that wanted to transition out. So he and 2 pediatric partners took that practice over, and they're actually still there. He's been at that same job for like 15 years. I ended up as an associate at a practice in Potomac, Maryland, pedo ortho practice, and was there for almost 10 years before starting my own.
And you started your practice back in
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
But you started before that. You started doing research.
Yes. The process. So basically, I went to work at this pedo ortho practice as an associate. It was owned by a dual-trained pediatric dentist orthodontist who at that point was just doing the ortho, so she had a couple pediatric associates. And a couple of years in, she wanted to transition out. So she offered it to one of the pediatric associates and me, and we looked into it and decided it wasn't the right time and whatnot. And so she ended up selling to a DSO, and she left, and we stayed on and worked for the DSO for about 5 years. And this pediatric dentist's name is Heather Scholander. And around like 2018, we kind of, 2 things kind of came to light. One was that we felt like it probably wasn't what we wanted long-term for our career to work in a corporate setting. And 2 is that we became very interested in early interceptive care, integrative care for kids, namely in terms of other issues having to do with dentistry, like speech issues and sleeping issues and breathing issues, and how does that factor into a child's growth and overall well-being, and what is our place in that? What is the place of orthodontics? How early can we intervene, and what can we do? For her as a pediatric dentist, when does she start the discussion? When do we start referring out? And we kind of started building this great network of providers in our area, speech therapists, myofunctional therapists, ENTs,
So
general dentist, yes.
interdisciplinary
And so we
work.
got really interested in interdisciplinary
Yeah.
work, especially as it applies to like young and growing children. We were like, we wanted to have a setting where we could really focus on this, and we realized that the only way we could do that is by having our own practice.
So when you
So-
decided on that, I got to ask, because we get a lot of doctors asking us, did you look into purchasing a practice, or did you know you had to do a startup? What was the reason for that?
We did not look into purchasing practice. We are a pedo ortho, so it's a kind of a very specific
Niche.
dual, and there weren't very many in our area at the time. Also, we didn't really look into practices that were for sale, but there really weren't
Well,
very
a
many,
lot of-
especially now that the DSOs are coming in and just
True.
snatching everything up.
Well, and a lot of people think
But
they can just buy any type of existing dental practice and
Right.
convert it into
Right.
their needs.
no, we had a very specific vision for what we wanted our practice to look like and what we wanted it to feel like, and we realized that like a gut renovation is what like a
Startup is
from the ground up. And the other thing is, we weren't really starting from zero. I mean, she and I had been in this area at this point for 10 years, so we had a pretty big
that
group of patients that had been with us for a long time. And we also were very respectful of our legal obligations with the DSO. Like we were only looking outside of 5 miles, obviously, and we didn't solicit any patients. We didn't do any of that. Of course, we were kind of scared of them. So, but the internet exists, and patients
Right.
found us, and we kind
Of
of
course.
knew that we weren't going to be starting completely at zero, and that made us feel a little bit more comfortable doing a startup. But I really think I don't regret for 1 second doing a startup. I think startup is the way to go, because you can really tailor it to exactly what you want it to be from the beginning.
good for you, and very brave of you for doing this during the COVID time.
Well,
In
we didn't
2011.
know it was during the COVID time.
But when you started the
So-
construction, it was during COVID time, right? Or
Yeah, so actually, this had already been in the works for about a year,
Mhm.
and then on March 15th, 2020, is when I drove into the Bank of America the PNC parking lot,
Mhm.
and we were going to sign our loan and our lease that day. My partner Heather had
Which
had
is
a
when the
baby.
shutdown happened, right?
She'd had a baby literally a week prior. This was the weekend that they were going to shut down schools.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I made this frantic call to my consultant at Kane Waters. We still joke about this because I was like, he was like in a meeting, and I've never even called the office, and I was like, get him to the meeting. I was like, Mason, should I be signing this? And he was like, yeah, like this is gonna blow over in like 3 months.
Yeah.
That's what
You'll
Art
be
said.
open in
Art's
6
like,
months.
2 weeks. No one
Yeah.
will talk about this
He
anymore.
was like, by the time you open, this is gonna be over. And I was like, okay. But at that point, we were too far into
You were too
it.
far, yeah.
We'd already negotiated the lease. Like the whole thing had taken almost a year to get to the point where we were signing the lease and signing our loan.
Right.
And so we were just like,
And
we're
side note,
doing this.
Y'all had small children that you were.
Yeah, I had a
managing
2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Both. The 5-year-old was about to be home all the time. She had a 5-year-old and a newborn baby.
Ugh.
I remember afterwards we went out to lunch, and I remember thinking, probably the last time I'm going to be in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And it really was.
Yeah.
For like over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, the whole thing, because, after you sign all that, it's like go time. It's like you're on
Correct.
a time clock, and you've got to
Right.
find who's doing this and find who's doing that. And so we had, since it was a shutdown and we were furloughed, we had a lot of time during the day to get on this new thing called Zoom and interview all sorts of people, and it gave us a lot more free time. to-
Other than all that stuff, what was one of the biggest challenges when you were under construction, like in the process?
I mean,
during
the
process?
permits. I mean, again, it was a really weird time because it was like during the shutdown. I think that it's really that neither of us had any experience opening a practice, managing a practice, construction. It was all so foreign and so new that we did use a consultant, and that just took so much stress off of us and made us. It just really helped the entire process and helped us feel comfortable with every step of the way, because we weren't constantly second guessing ourselves, because neither of us had ever done this before.
Yeah.
So we were very big
Uh,
proponents of investing in a consultant off the bat, because you don't know what you don't know, and this is a very expensive endeavor, and one that it's like your baby. Like you care so much about your practice, and everyone who starts one has a vision for what they want their practice to be, and this is going to be your career. And so doing it right the first way, we felt was really important. And since we didn't have any background in it, we wanted to get an expert to kind of
Love the story, because a lot of
Tell
people
us what's
they have cold feet when they're going through it, because what you've gone through is multiple stuff. Little kid, baby on the way, you got COVID to worry about, but you went through it, pretty successful. How does the practice look today?
5-year anniversary.
We just had our 5-year
anniversary.
anniversary. Yes. It's
No,
great.
I mean, you just said you don't regret doing it. So
No, it was literally the best. It was the best career
I'm glad.
either of us would say that we have made. I mean, and the thing is, we'd already had a lot of experiences leading up to that. Her father was a general dentist, and so she worked as a general dentist for 6 years in his practice. So she kind of had a window into like some things that she wanted to do and some things she didn't want to do in terms of managing. And she does more of like the number side of it. And so, that's kind of her forte. And we'd each been associates for a long time. And so we'd seen a lot of things. We'd already done the whole, we're going to work as an associate. We already did the whole, we're going to work in a DSO. And so we kind of saw the alternatives to starting your own practice, and that kind of motivated us even more.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah.
So there was no grass is greener
on the other
this
side,
is the
right?
greenest grass.
Yeah.
But I actually find, and I still find, that having my own practice is a lot less stressful to me than when I was an associate, because again, like as dentists, especially as an orthodontist, I'm like such a perfectionist and a people pleaser. And when you're an associate, you not only have to please the patient, the patient's parents, but you also have to please your boss. And what would my boss do? But what would I do in this situation? And it's just a constant. And then you have the whole dynamic of like, well, people are coming to see the boss, but now they have to see you. And is that, and now it's like, it's your own practice. And you know that like the person who's coming, they trust you and they're here
to see
you. And it just takes that whole side of things. And it's like, yes, it's my own practice. If I want to give someone a free retainer, I can give someone a free retainer. Mm-hmm. If I only do like 9 starts in a month, I don't have anyone coming to be like, you're going to be fired next month if you do this again. Like, it's just a lot of that, but also like the satisfaction of having it when someone be at your practice, a patient's happy or they leave you a good review. It's like, we built this. We did this, and we're taking care of people the way that we want to take care of them with no other chatter.
Biggest reward, yeah. So let's talk about the tiny changes. I mean, I know we're working with you on this. So we're excited about it as well. So
we got to meet you at an event, and I just remember looking over and you're setting up this box. I was like, can I help? I don't know what this is. And then you started telling me about it, and I think I shared and what's inspired you.
What is it, and how did the idea come to mind?
So, well, first of all, thank you, because when I meet companies and people who like get what we're trying to do and like kind of embrace it, it just really motivates me to keep going with this project, because it has been a long-standing work up to this, and it takes up a lot of my spare time, but it's like such a passion project. And so basically what it is, it's a way that it's a way that practices can be more mindful of their impact on the environment and actually like do something about it. So it kind of came about in like 2022 around, I'm involved with the Mid-Atlantic Society of Orthodontists, and I was on the board for a while. And in 2022, your tenure on the board culminates in you being president of MESO. So in 2022, I was president of MESO, and I was like, hey, like we should start this sustainability committee within MESO to kind of help offices at least be more like mindful of how much plastic they're using. So we started this initiative called the Say No to Plastic Bags. And we promoted it within MESO, and the deal was that you take this pledge and you get 50 free paper bags. This pledge to not give out plastic bags in your office. Because like at our old, at our old office, we would have these like branded plastic bags, and like every cleaning, every retainer, every aligner, plastic bag. And I was so like cringed out by it. I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. We'd get like this stack of them. So like 90 offices within MESO signed up, and we hardly promoted it at all. And I was like, okay, well, all these people care about the environment. Like, great, but like, what else can we do?
It was kind of a pledge.
Yes.
Okay.
And so around that same time, I was actually in my eye doctor's office, and I saw a box, and it said, recycle your used contact lenses here. And at that point, like, I didn't even know that contact lenses were recyclable.
Yeah.
So I asked my eye doctor, and he was like, yes, they're plastic. And this company, you can recycle the packaging. Because again, I was using daily lenses, and of course, I would be like, feel really bad every time I opened one, which was like every day. So I was like, great, you can recycle not only the lens, but also the packaging. And so I took pictures of the box, and on the bottom, it was like, brought to you by TerraCycle. So I looked up TerraCycle, and for those of you that don't know, it's a company that their business model is to help people recycle things that are not easily recycled or that municipal recycling can't recycle.
So a
They
lot of
recycle all
medical
sorts of things.
stuff, but
Class 2
other
medical
things.
devices, but tons of other things like chip bags and cigarette butts and bubble gum. I mean, it's really incredible. They're an incredible company.
Wow.
I've learned so much about them since then. But
And they're based out of
Trenton, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
But they have branches all over the world
Mhm.
now. They're like over 20 years old. So
They know
I
what
went.
they're doing.
Yes. So I went to my Invisalign rep and I was like, hey, if they're recycling contact lenses, like you should be able to recycle aligners. And he said, well, we actually have a pilot program with TerraCycle. It's been in beta testing for 7 years. And why don't you join it? So he enabled me to join it. We started recycling aligners in my office, and I approached the higher ups at Invisalign and was like, hey, why is this in beta testing? Why don't we open this up at least to Meso? Because I have these 90 offices who obviously care about
Doing something.
doing something. So why can't we do this? And so I pestered them for about 9 to 12 months. And in the end, they were like, actually, this is financially feasible for us to continue this program. We're ending it. So they ended the program. And so at that time, I was a little disappointed. But then I was like, you know what? Like that program, since Invisalign was funding it, they only allowed their products, like their retainers, bags, and aligners to be recycled. And I was like, well, it'd be better coming from an entity like the AAO where we could set up a program that could accept any brand of aligners. So I talked to TerraCycle for a while. I basically tried for like 2 years to get the AAO to take this on as a project. And ultimately they decided not to, but I kind of could see the writing on the wall like 6 months prior to that and approached the Meso board and kind of made the whole pitch. And at that point I had like all the negotiations with TerraCycle done, all the branding for the program, and all I needed was $20,000 for like seed money to get the first 100 boxes. And I was like, if you can give me $20,000, I'm confident I can raise more money with sponsorships from like aligner companies and supply companies to get more boxes. And they said yes, and that was in January of this year, 2025. And so then we really hustled because I wanted to get the first iteration of boxes ready to be promoted at the annual session, the AAO's annual session in Philadelphia this year. So we were able to get 250 boxes and sold out of those within weeks. And, now we're kind of
Up to what, over 400?
So we had 250 that sold out. It took me a few months to get enough money, fabricate another 200. So now we're at 450 and we're about to order 300 more.
I mean, we talk
And
about
so-
boxes. Let's explain what this is so people understand.
So how it works is that an office will sign up on the Mesa website, maso.org, and you'll get, and we can talk more about like the box and who can get them and how, but basically it's a 3 foot tall by 1 foot by 1 foot cardboard box with a plastic
It's like a
bag in it.
biohazard.
Yeah, it's like a
box, but little
biohazard box,
smaller,
but
yeah.
it looks pretty. We
Right.
custom designed it. And you can fill it up with any brand of new and used aligner and its bag, and then basically any other plastic you use in your office. Sterilization pouches, air water syringe tips, profi angle,
Anything that has
Microbrushes.
plastic.
high vacuum suction tips. Yep, micro brushes.
Stereo pouch plastic.
Yep, 3D printed model resin can go in there. Like empty carpules, bottles, basically any plastic that doesn't have blood on it can go in there. Yeah. And so you fill up the box, and each box can hold about 1,000 aligners and about 16 to 18 pounds of plastic. So you kind of have to squish it down, but it'll take the average practice like 3 to 6 months to fill it up. And then on the back of the box is a prepaid shipping label. So you kind of just tape it up at the end, and UPS picks it up and takes it back to the TerraCycle manufacturer, like the plant where they do the recycling, which our plastic goes to a plant in Illinois, and they then reduce it to plastic like pellets, and then use that plastic for things like turf, shipping pallets, playgrounds, benches. They upcycle it. So
Yeah.
again,
Average office will fill this up in how long?
probably like 3 to 6 months.
So they would need this, 2-3 times a year?
Yeah.
To replace the mold.
Right. And so, we have offices now that have ordered like their second and even third box, depending on how many aligners they do. Some
Right.
offices have like, it's one practice, but they have offices. And so the biggest challenge so far has been like keeping them in stock. Like I've been selling out immediately. And then also getting funding for it, because the way it works right now is that since it's primarily funded by Orthodontic supply company, the deal is that the first box a doctor gets is free, and then from there on it's
Is it
$99
any
a box.
doctor, or is it just orthodontist?
For orthodontist,
Uh-huh.
it's $99. It's The first one you get is free, and then subsequent boxes are $99 each. The boxes cost us $200 each, including shipping. So, but any dental professional in the United States and Canada can order a box. It's just that they have to pay full price if they're as of right now, only because this really just came out of an organization.
Sure.
So
So
that's
they would
where
pay
we
full
kind
price.
of got
Yes.
this idea. We think it's a really great thing. We can see all the different types of plastic, not just orthoplastic.
Totally.
And
yes.
there's tons of general offices that are doing some kind of ortho, have retainers or whatever else that could benefit from having this to be a little bit more sustainable. Quickly, I know you mentioned like just patients like seeing this too.
Patients love it.
So from an
Yes.
advertising or marketing standpoint, patients are going to feel good about coming to an office where they know you are taking some initiative to be sustainable.
Used toothbrushes can go in.
Used toothbrushes. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't recycle those normally.
So Sarah, what have we done in this?
Right. So when we
We're offering it to all dentists.
heard
right?
about this, we want to offer it to more dentists, help you guys get the word out. So we joined as like a corporate sponsor to get a bunch of boxes at a discounted rate for dentists. So we're able to get it down to $140 a box. And in addition to that, we're also offering them assistance with a bunch of our services. So obviously our listeners already know, but so from real estate evaluation, design evaluation, our construction, long-term and short-term planning goals for the practice, we're kind of taking our comprehensive approach in order to help people and get the word out on Tiny Change.
Yeah. And we appreciate that so much. And I will say a lot of like younger doctors, I've been approached by quite a number who are like, I am in the process of doing a startup, and how do I set up my practice to be more sustainable? Like, this is things that people of all ages, but especially like younger doctors, are very cognizant of, and also because patients are really cognizant of it. And so we also have an Instagram account. It's Tiny Green Changes, and one thing that I really try to do in the Instagram account is do tips for offices that don't have anything to do with recycling, just other things you can do to offset to like not use as much plastic or offset your footprint. And that's something where you guys can bring that too, and it's really a differentiator for practices as well.
Right.
Like if you set up your practice to be more green and then you advertise that on your social media or in your advertising, like that can really set a practice apart. And it really resonates with patients, especially of the younger generation and up and coming. And you're also doing something good. So it's like,
you should feel
kind of like a win-win-win. But like there's a lot of things you can do when setting up your practice, like getting more things that are autoclavable. Like you don't have to use a plastic headrest cover on every chair. Like, right. Like you can get, we have our lights on an auto timer. You always be turning them off. They automatically turn off. The water, like, to get a faucet, you can get I don't know. There's so many things you can do no matter what kind of practice you're in that aren't, and it can also save you money.
I don't know if you,
everyone loves that.
We could talk about it, but we have like a water filtration system that we install in a lot of practices. And aside from being like super easy to use and really good on your equipment because you have to use distilled water and everything, it keeps you from buying all the distilled water
Totally.
all the time.
Exactly.
So another little thing on purpose. But
and giving out bottles of water in your office.
Get a water filler.
So for the listeners, let's clarify, how can they order? What are different ways that they can, call,
right.
go on the website?
Like you said, you can go to Meso and there's Tiny Change links. And then we'll post all of the information in the link with this podcast. But if you contact us directly, we will get you signed up. We will get you a box and hooked up with all of the other goodies and services that we talked.
And we're going to put it on the website for, how to open the dentalpractice.com.
Yep.
As well as you can email us at info@arminco.com.
Yeah. We'll put the links for everything in the bio and everything for the podcast. And we're just really grateful. Thank you for sharing this story. I think we've become equally as passionate about it. And we
Absolutely
are excited to see it take off in a bunch of practices and keep going.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and definitely for all your support.
Absolutely. Thank you.